So you work at the American Heart Association.
I do.
You're director here.
I am.
Yeah, so you do that, but then also you have Envision Self.
I do have Envision Self.
you got all of this going on.
Yeah.
How do you first tell us about it?
About Envision Self?
Yes, and then tell us, and then lead into how are you balancing the two worlds?
Okay. So Envision Self is a market relations company that focuses on branding businesses by focusing on business goals and social impact goals and bringing those together through cause marketing campaigns and programs. So cause marketing, that's what it is. Being able to look at business goals for businesses and social goals and being able to leverage both through marketing and branding. So you just basically enhance a company's brand through causes that align with their mission.
I love it. Love it.
Yep. So, but of course, outside of that main piece that's Envision Self, I do the personal branding and the branding for different sects, whether it's artists or musicians or people in healthcare. I know how to apply branding to each and everybody, no matter where they fit in society.
What do you think is something in your childhood that kind of goes along with or has helped you to understand the importance of branding? And I'm asking that because you are a young woman that's on the rise, on the move.
Thank you.
And sometimes you hear people say, well, do whatever you want to do in your 20s. And get it in and do this. You're so focused, you're so driven. What made you understand the importance of branding? Because first off, you had to brand yourself before you can brand someone else.
Right, correct.
So what made you understand the importance of that?
This may be twofold or threefold.
Okay.
I want to say first and foremost, branding starts with understanding that you're accountable to somebody. So I know I'm accountable to my parents.
Yeah.
I know that if Obi gets in trouble, what would my mother say?
Right.
Or what damage would I do to my family's last name?
Yes.
So that's the first stance of branding. The next piece is then the people who are on your board of directors. If they can vouch for you and endorse you for so many things, and anytime I'm in a space and I feel like I'm gonna do something that's probably a little bit not in my character, I would think like, what would Erica Joy think if she saw me doing this?
Yeah.
And it puts you in line. So that's the accountability of branding that keeps your brand intact.
Was it something like your parents said growing up?
I would say definitely.
Your background?
I think background plays into it. And my parents always made sure, like, if we walk out the house, at least look decent.
Right.
Because you never know who you would run into.
Right.
So, like, walking out the house with bonnets and do-rags. My mama was like snatching his back
like
in the
my
house.
father never let me walk out the house with a bonnet on my head.
Yeah, the sagging pants thing wasn't allowed in our house. My mom would always say, like, if your friends come to my doorstep, I'm putting a belt on them where they need to pull their pants up before they can get in the house.
Right.
Like, that's the type of grounding I come from. We didn't always have everything, but we had a foundation of understanding of how to basically present yourself. And this is not a present yourself based off of race or anything. This is just as a human, as an individual in society. And I think
that was like the foundation of presentation
and how you present yourself is how seriously people are going to take you, because that shows how seriously you take yourself. And then I love to dress. But my parents love to dress. My dad loves to dress. So when he sees me nowadays, he's like, oh, so fly. Like, he's the one calling me, oh, so fly, when I walk in the house and asking me where I get my shoes from. And he even still corrects me and is like, why your belt not matching your shoes? And I'm like, don't do me. I got this. I got this now. But I was always a dresser to the point where I wasn't best dressed in high school.
Really?
And I went to Rivers King. So winning best dressed at Rivers King was like, you fly.
You fly.
Yeah, so I was always big on how I presented myself. Even then in undergrad, most people go to class in hoodies and sweatpants. I was like going to class in blazers and loafers.
Okay.
In high school, I was
wearing blazers. In high school, you was with the loafers.
In high school, I was wearing blazers and loafers. More like blazers and J's because I was a little bit younger. And then when I got to undergrad, I started doing the loafers thing.
Okay.
But I sat in a forum at Marquette talking to some young girls about professionalism in the workplace and being an African American woman. And it was so funny. My best friend introduced me, like, she was like, when I think of professionalism, I think of Obi, because when I first met her, she couldn't walk into Walmart without a blazer on.
Really?
And I was just like, that's crazy.
Couldn't run an errand.
True. Couldn't run an errand without looking professional. And that is really how I am. And this is something that I picked up on my own. For me, business to me meant wearing a blazer.
Really?
Yep. So even when I was
business to you meant
wearing a blazer, and that was part of the presentation. And business to me and branding yourself meant putting on a business jacket. And I did see the difference as a young person. A lot of people took me more seriously because they're like, "Who is this little girl? Like,
what is she
dressed
doing?
up? What does she do?" Because to be honest, I was dressing like I was doing more than what I was doing. You know. So I had people thinking I was in a higher spot than I was. You know, I'm in undergrad. I'm working at Sendix. I was working at Sendix for like 6 years. I was a manager, a receiving manager at one point, assistant receiving manager, I should say, and I was an administrative assistant. But you know, that is the work I was doing, you know, before, you know, I really started pivoting and figuring out things. And that was, you know, of course, through high school and undergrad. So I didn't have to figure out where I wanted to work then. But I was taking how I dress and present myself very seriously. So I wore blazers in high school from like junior to senior year, whether I had like a graphic tee under the blazer or I had like, you know, a little cute button up. That's what.
Do you think that's missing? As far as in the culture with young women, do you think the presentation part?
I think it is because I think there's a stigma around suits. There's a stigma around jackets. I think people look at it as a man thing, and it's not like people aren't telling little girls that they can also wear blazers. You know, a lot of times we're dressing up little boys and saying we need to teach them how to wear a tie and teach them how to wear a jacket. And I'm like, where are the jackets for the little girls though? We need to teach them how to put the blouse underneath and have a button up as well, because women wear suits and there are suits for women.
I love blazers. I have quite a few.
And I just started collecting them, you know, right away. Like, I just started really collecting them young, and now I have an array of blazers at this point, but an array of colors. But I definitely started wearing them. And like I said, it didn't have to be a blazer with a button up. I had on blazers and graphic tees. And I just felt like I got a blazer on. It made me feel like I was doing business. It made me take myself seriously. You know, the way you dress is the way you're gonna deliver.
And so then now, later in life, you envision self.
Exactly. So that's honestly funny because before envision self really became like this marketing and branding, it was really like my own personal brand. And I've had to learn to try to detach the two, because when people see me now, they see envision self. And it's almost like instead of calling me Obi, people calling me envision self.
Yeah, but you know what? I think
there's a connection.
I think that's how it should be. You know, because I think sometimes in the world we are now of branding, some people are not connected to their brand.
There's a disconnect.
It's a disconnect. So I think that's great because we identify with the person first before we actually identify with what you do with the brand.
So for me, brand and business are one. You are business. You know, you are your own brand. You have to treat yourself like a business. If you want people to, you know, handle you like they doing some business, and handle you like business, because when you handle business, you handle it with order. You handle it with structure. You handle it with tact. That's how I want people to handle me.
You preach it.
You gonna handle me with some structure, with some tact, in a timely fashion. So if you present yourself as business, people are gonna handle you like business.
I love it. I totally agree. I totally agree. So what? So I wanted to know, like, what is something at the American Heart Association that just gives you fire? What is something on your, you know, that lights your fire?
That lights my fire. Really being able to build these strategic alliances and partnerships in the community. A lot of people may know or may not know, but we're currently working on a healthy food financing initiative with partnership with Alderman Khalif Rainey. There's a lot of stakeholders at the table as well, but we've been really pushing that work with him. And you know, organizations such as African American Chamber of Commerce, Feeding America, Hunger Task Force, the UCC, Delta Sigma Theta, all these organizations.
Do you ever get to partner outside of Milwaukee?
Yes, in Wisconsin, because my territory covers Milwaukee and southeastern Wisconsin. I did used to cover northern Chicago, but we did an organizational restructure, and that, you know, now I'm focused more on just Milwaukee and southeastern Wisconsin, which is a lot in itself. So outside of Milwaukee, yes. Outside of Wisconsin, not much so. But I do have a lot of counterparts who I interact with because we're doing a lot of similar work, but just in different spaces. So who better than to get insight from?
Right. So what do you say to young women who see you in this role and they have aspirations to be a director, to be a leader, whether it's in you know, community relations, healthcare, whatever it may be, they see Obi. And they see someone that I can identify with.
This is true.
Yeah. She's fly. She's well spoken.
Yeah, right. I say the first thing would be that don't let people tell you you're too young. And I said this in a forum on Monday at Marquette with some young girls, and I said, those days are over. I'll say that loud and proud, that those days are over. Waiting until you're 50, 40 to become a director is not necessarily true. You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait to become a vice president. I had aspirations to become a VP way before 40. I'm not going to tell people the exact number so people can start counting my steps.
They're going to be counting your,
dictating my moves.
No, it is this age.
But yeah, it's right. But please understand, like, I'm very calculated. So, like, I calculate in my head where I want to be at a certain time. And I definitely move strategically. It's not just doing to do. Once I pivoted and I did my last pivot, everything has been done strategically, done with purpose, and done with tact. So I do tell young girls, do it now. You know, like you're going back to the saying when you mentioned earlier regarding people saying you're in your 20s, live. You know, just do what you got to do. And don't get me wrong, I like that. I appreciate that. I do think that you should always live life as much as you can, no matter when, because life isn't promised tomorrow. But you should also live a life of purpose. And also understand that I don't think that's what people tell our counterparts. They tell that to young black and brown kids to just live. Our counterparts then are ahead of us, and we're wondering why. Don't get me wrong, they're already ahead of us, so that's a whole different story.
That's a whole different conversation.
But I do think the narratives and the terminologies and statements that are being said to young African American and brown children is different than what our counterparts are hearing.
I would agree.
That then paints the narrative to how we navigate life after undergrad or whatever the case may be, and how seriously we take it. Especially understanding some of the backgrounds we come from and things like that. So then to kind of paint a narrative of live your life and, you know, enjoy it.
You only live once.
You only live once, and you do then end up just chilling, living, you know, things like that. And like I said, enjoy life, because you don't, like I said, I want everybody to enjoy life. You should. It shouldn't just be work.
So then what do you do to enjoy life?
So
Miss Director.
I'm a homebody. And you know, because I turned up a lot in undergrad, I don't feel like I'm lacking anything now. So that's another thing.
You got some like in the books?
I got some in the books. I done turned up hard. I done partied at Whitewater. I done partied in Madison. You know, I tell people all the time, you know, I'm very spiritual, but I was the center of all sinners back then. And back then, you know, it's like maybe when I was in undergrad, so that ain't too long ago, but it's long enough. But I turned up a lot. So, you know, I don't have the same desires to do those things now because of where I am at in my life. And I've kind of, it's, you know, you gotta get those things out of your system. That's the way I like to say it. And I think some people, they're always gonna have it in their system because that's just innately part of who they are. I don't think all of us are really like turn up people all the time. That's just not who we are innately. But because of our environment, that becomes us. So I don't really.
So with all this drive, are you gonna one day fit a family? Fit a family into.
You sound like the rest of everybody else.
The picture.
Yes. So, you know, I mean, I date. I don't want people to think that, but I'm very private. So, you know.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
And I know, you know, people close to me will tell you that, will tell anybody, like, oh, he's private. You know, outside of the business that you see, that's about all you're going to get.
Thank you for your time. And thank you for coming on Lincoln All Women.
I appreciate it.